My name's Jean Khan. I had an older brother who's 5 years older than me called Rodney, and he developed schizophrenia in his early 20s, and he passed away in his mid-50s from a physical health problem. When he was younger, he was trained as a tailor up in London, so he used to wear lovely clothes and spats, and had a little lambretta. I don't know whether he was one of the mods and the rockers or whatever, but you know, he was extremely smart. And then all of a sudden it all went pear-shaped. He began just stealing just petty larceny really, and ended up in prison, but he couldn't handle prison. I remember going to visit him in Brixton and seeing him behind the glass screen, and he burst into tears, and I think that was the beginning of the schizophrenia for him. So after my mother died, he went back into the mental hospital under section again for about 18 months. Then when he came out, because he was entirely on his own then, he was given accommodation in a home for people with severe mental illness. His life had stabilised to some extent by then. He'd get on the bus in South Croydon religiously every Thursday. He never missed a week. Doesn't matter if he didn't feel well or whatever. He'd get on the bus and he'd come all the way across London to Hertfordshire. That took quite a long way. So I'd pick him up and yeah, we'd chat about what I'd been doing. He loved to know all about his nieces and nephews, he loved to talk about them. It was kind of a little bonding time, I suppose. So when he was in his mid-50s, I noticed he couldn't keep food down, couldn't swallow solid food properly, and it was becoming more and more of a problem, and he was getting quite upset about it. So in the end he went to hospital, he had the tests, and then the doctors told us the bad news that it was terminal esophageal cancer, and I had never come across that, so I wasn't quite sure what the prognosis was, and it obviously wasn't very long. They were saying maybe 6 months or maybe a year or maybe 9, whatever, but he was gone in a few weeks. And I went to see the nurse afterwards who was with him when he died, and she was really upset because she told me, and we were both in tears, she told me that she could see that he was slipping away and the colour drained from his face, and he reached out for his bus pass and he clutched it to his chest, and then he died. It was obviously the thing that meant a lot in his life, yeah, gave him some freedom. I think if there hadn't been such an emphasis on Rodney's mental health and they had taken into account his physical health, bearing in mind he was homeless and very, very poor, then he would have definitely had a longer life. And the fact that these symptoms weren't picked up earlier astonished me, really. If Rodney had 20 more years, I would like to have had him share my life. I had a good life compared to him. Perhaps had him to live with me, and he could have woken up and had a roof over his head, not have worry about money, and have an easier life than he did. I always think of Rodney when I look at Waltham Cross bus station, because obviously it was week in, week out. It went on for years and years. Yeah, that's my abiding memory really when I see that bus station.